this morning in studio. And Biko, coming to you, there seems to be then now shifting our attention to the institutions that were created by Katiba, and Parliament was under the spotlight of the President on Wednesday. It's concerning, is it, that coming from the head of state, yet he also warned MPs to vote for the finance bill in 2023, calling on the same members of Parliament that they can't afford to vote against it. Is the House a punching bag for the executive?
I think, allow me to say this, that the fact that the young people are at the center of every aspect is because either the government or the opposition, they have failed to understand what the young people want. The young people want jobs. The young people want to be able to go to hospital and get treatment. The young people want to be able to have a fair playing field whereby they can be able to apply for tenders in this government. The young people want space where they can be able to speak their mind without being arrested, killed, or tear gassed. And this is something that no government or any political outfit has failed to grasp. If I escalate the conversation from Scramble for the young people to what's happening in Parliament, I believe President Ruto is on to blame for that particular mongrel that he's now complaining about. When he became president, the first thing Ruto did was to make sure that he controls Parliament completely. And he's been able to nurture and feed this particular dog to such a level that now it's also biting himself. So President Ruto is unable to push his agenda because now corruption has become the main aspect of doing business in Parliament. So if a particular CS wants to get a clean bill of health in terms of how they've been managing the ministry, they have to bribe their way out. And it's become very expensive because you can no longer keep bribing your way out. So Ruto should look in the mirror and see that he's the person to blame for the kind of mess we are in. Mm-hmm. Number two, Parliament used to be a house of honor and a house that looked and represented the will of the people. Unfortunately, at the moment, the house, that this particular Parliament is a rubber stamp for the president. So it behooves me to ask myself, what is President Ruto trying to do? Because when he tells us that, when he says he's warning members of Parliament to stop corruption, he has their names. He has the instruments of power. He controls the Office of the Public Prosecutor. He controls EACC. Why can't he submit these names to these two institutions and have these members of Parliament arrested? I believe Ruto is playing to the gallery, trying to create a safe environment around him and saying that I am not the problem, these guys are the problem. So I believe, and the young people have called him out. If you look at the conversations we are having on TikTok, on YouTube, on X and Facebook, we've called out President Ruto and told him this is nonsense. Whatever you're telling us, you're the principal cause. You're the one who's been feeding this particular dog. You're now calling corruption. Mm-hmm.
And in Jerry, certainly this brings us to the point of the contest of morals, is it? Who has the moral authority to call each other out, the executive or the legislature?
First of all, Ayuba, we cannot have a mosquito telling us which malaria vaccine to use. And then again, of all people that should talk about corruption, the president should never be one of them, because if we look recently on the latest political happenings during the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, it was in public domain that there was money being dished out by the people who wanted the motion to move swiftly through Parliament. We were with you here, Ayub, when I told you that it is only in Kenya where when the political class wants the government printer to work even 11 p.m. in the night, it can work. It's only during political moments when we can have Parliament and Senate sitting late in the night. But we've never seen Parliament and Senate sit late in the night discussing common mwananchi issues. So when it comes to the president telling us about who is asking for bribes, then maybe he should even tell us who gives bribes, because there's no giver with no taker, and there's no also vice versa, because I can tell you one thing for sure. You cannot come to tell us about members of Parliament asking for bribes, and it is in public domain that your regime, and you have had even members of Senate and Parliament in broad daylight say that they used to receive calls from the executive during the impeachment on how to proceed with the impeachment. So when it comes to moral authority, in fact, we in the current Parliament and maybe Senate, we might have a very literal percentage of politicians with the moral authority to tell us about corruption. Because, you see, I am a believer that for the president to start feeling like the committees are asking for too much money, it's because maybe whatever he has been given has been normalized so much that now they are demanding for more. And the moment the taker is asking for more, the problem is not even with the taker, it's for you who was the giver, because you initiated this platform for them to be demanding for money. Look at the kind of empowerment programs we are having. Where does government get these 100 million within a month or two to dish out in empowerment programs that cannot be budgeted for, are not budgeted for, and we cannot even give a correct audit of how much money has been spent, what is the return in investment. So when we talk about the president and corruption, he should be the last person to speak. And if anything, if he feels he wants to speak, he must speak from the dock of a court of law, where we are supposed to be looking at any corruption dealings he has been involved with previously. Remember, this is the same president when he took power. The first thing that he did is to ensure that any of his friends or any of his political allies who was having any graft case or whatever, it was being thrown out. Or the case was just going in a way meant to tell Kenyans that, you know what, I am here to sanitize any corruption scandal. So for him, he should not talk about corruption. And if he wants us to talk about corruption, he should allow us, we as the Kenyans, to do it.
Philip, admittedly, this is a major problem. But other than the lip service from the politicians, how then can this be followed up with concrete action, given that the House is crucially placed at a critical juncture by the Constitution?
Well, I think it's not a problem occurring today. Parliament was compromised way before this regime. And I'll give you a concrete example. At some point during the Jubilee reign, there was evidence, actually, that members of Parliament, I think in the Agriculture Committee, received bribes as low as 5,000 shillings to pass particular, regulations that were needed by particular sectors or parts of the ecosystem. So what we are looking at today is Parliament that has been used by different regimes differently for convenience. But I would say that I speak about Parliament with a lot of caution, because I may end up there as a member, or I may end up before any committee for whatever reasons. So giving it the benefit of doubt, at the time of the Gen Z protest last year about the financial bill, I said, and I still say today, that actually the masterstroke was with Parliament, not with the presidency. And each time, if members of Parliament act rightfully, act with their conscience right and serving the people first, I think would get out of many storms before they actually occur.
But do they do that?
They don't do that, unfortunately. And so I think the biggest thing is with the integrity of individuals in Parliament rather than the political parties and the presidency. Because in this very Parliament, you still, however, find some voices that are actually authentic, that resonate with what Mwananchi is saying. And so what we must advocate for as the electorate, and as I say usually, the leaders we elect are a reflection of who we are as a society. Okay. We are never going to get better than we are as a people. So if Parliament is corrupt, corruption exists within the very fabrics of society. How did your member of Parliament, for example, end up as your representative? Okay. Did they bribe their way to Parliament? And if they so did that, then they're going to do exactly that, to receive bribes in Parliament. So the integrity starts with Mwananchi, not the presidency, because we have inverted the vision so that we look at the top, but we don't look at the grassroots. So integrity must start with Mwananchi. If we are going to get demand for integrity at the presidential level, at cabinet level, at parliamentary level, integrity must surely start at the grassroots.
Yeah, and Kip Korir, then how does this present itself as an opportunity, a golden one for young voices, not to seek contest for parliamentary seats in the next election, given the performance of the House and also the previous House?
Thank you. I begin by saying, Jerry, my good sister here, used to be a good person before she joined the opposition. She has been consumed by the lies of the same opposition government because independent officers are not controlled by the president. I'll challenge you to go and read the Constitution. The control of independent officers is in the Constitution. That's said and done, Ayub. The problem we have here is we fail to understand about independent officers who should control one office, who should do the other, and we, the young people, that is where the buck stops at us, because we should take responsibility from the grassroots. Before we elect these members of parliament, we should scrutinize them very well and take part in that civic democratic right, because it is said the punishment given to good people who do not take part in their civic democratic right of electing their leaders is that they'll be ruled by fools. So we, the young people, are the ones who previously generated these problems. But then after a while, you've seen the young people are now conscious, and I believe in 2027 we'll make the right decisions, and all this will come to an end. That said and done again, we must also, as young people, learn about the independent offices and try and find out if a problem is found in a certain independent office, who should carry the blame? If it is, for instance, the TSC, for that matter, who should carry the blame? The CEO, for that matter, the manager, and so on and forth. So we should not blame everyone for a problem. We should find the root cause of the problem and blame the overall leader of that independent office.
Yeah. And Council, can Parliament, in your view, stand up to the executive? Ideally, it used to have been complaints within the public domain of how the executive has taken hostage the bicameral setup. But now it's the executive complaining, and it seems a game of ping pong. So can Parliament then exercise one of the major powers donated to it by Katiba and the people? For instance, it can impeach a sitting president, but can they? Can our Parliament do that?
Thank you, Ayub. I think I wouldn't have done this conversation justice without confirming one of the things that we need to understand as a people. As a lawyer and an advocate, all serious lawyers are in Diani right now. That does not mean any lawyer in Nairobi is an imposter. But the constitutionally independent bodies are just that. And anything that is not constitutionally independent or practically independent is either improper or wrong. There is nobody who can direct the inspector of police. Nobody should direct the office of the public prosecution. Nobody should direct the judiciary, and that was said very well and eloquently by a very able Chief Justice. Back to the conversation. They say don't start what you can't stop. So if you started something, then all of a sudden it has caught its own pace, then you have to blame for the speed in which it goes. But again, who started this? It's easy to point out to the powerful man. When a huge building is constructed at home, you know you're successful when people start blaming you for it, even if you don't own it. But people get in Parliament. How is Parliament constituted? When you go home, I'm sorry to say this, when anyone tries to campaign and you tell somebody to vote to someone, in my language they'll ask, "Ngikia ena arire?" Easily translated to mean, what of his have I eaten? So if that is the vetting platform we are using to elect our leaders, then how come we expect something else? Do you expect somebody who has his own hard-earned money to give it to you without expecting something in return? So if that is the way in which we select the leaders among us, then that will translate into Parliament. When this guy goes into Parliament, the average budget for a parliamentary election is 20 to 40 million. The average salary of a member of Parliament could be net of 800,000. Put in mortgages, the handouts and stuff, you get this guy goes home with 100,000. Where does he get the handouts to come and give you every other weekend? So we have created this problem. We should not complain why it is endemic. We should shift. And I repeat, we should shift the conversation from a right and complaining conversation to a duty and resolve conversation. We should shift from saying who has done what and ask what have I contributed to this problem, and what can I do, or what can we do to right our wrong?
What should young people contribute in course-correcting the House, for instance? Because here's a double tragedy. The president admitted in August 2023 that some of his CSS were incompetent. He made the appointments. Yet it's the House that vets those members. And there were concerns, for instance, about the capacity of the former tourism CS, Penina Malonza, and others. And the excuses given in Parliament were very flimsy and preposterous. For instance, from Sylvanas Osoro, that someone was experiencing some biological processes, not wanting to use the exact words. But then how do we deal with this double tragedy of the executive presenting half-baked people who lack competence, the process not meriting, and then you have a House that is not keen enough to vet these people as required by the Constitution and give Kenyans people who can deliver service. So it's a double tragedy. Then the question, how do you address the very same question young people are asking, that there is this glaring failure by Parliament as a guardrail in getting Kenyans the right people? They can say no to what the executive presents them, is it?
Our constitution is very robust, and it's touted as the most transformative constitution in Africa and even the world. Our constitution allows people to vie as independent candidates. Though a dog is the best friend to a human being, but a dog takes instructions specifically from the owner of the dog. People who are loyal to their parties cannot play far from the owner of the party. We should first create parties that are national.
Okay.
Number two, vote people who are independent-minded, people who can walk away from party positions. That goes into the quality of people we vote. We don't vote philanthropists and people who give us what we want. Let's vote people who can represent us properly, people who can speak on our behalf, and people who can speak in our way that we don't have to speak. If your member of parliament has been silent until you go to die on the street, then he comes out, then you elected the wrong person.
Thank you.
And to finish off, we should also learn the art of voting for people and not vote against people. Because when we vote in anger and against people, then we vote any other alternative that is not the subject of our hatred.
Thank you. Yes, Winfred.
What I would love to say is, you see, when a basket of tomatoes is rotten, a basket of tomatoes has tomatoes and one tomato is rotten, it means the whole basket will get rotten. So if the executive is corrupt, it means that is just the political class. It means all of them are corrupt. The legislature and everyone else in the political class are corrupt. And you see, I just want to echo what...
That's unfair, is it? It's a broad brush painting. It's blanket condemnation, is it?
It's not.
They're fairly good lawmakers.
Yeah, we have those that are good. I'm not saying that everyone is corrupt. We have good lawmakers. We have good governors. We have good members of parliament. For example, I'm even looking at the Muranga governor. He's a good governor because we have seen his track record of development in his county. It is very good. The healthcare system is good. Education is good. Yes, so we can't say that all of them are bad. But you see, this is just the same people. So you see, we can't say, the president can't say that he's calling out the corrupt people, yet himself and his cabinet and the executive, they are also part of corruption. Because tell me why a Kenyan youth who doesn't have money will have to part with some money for them to get employment. That is very bad and very uncouth for these young people. Again, you see, when I really want to echo what my fellow comrades just said about the electorate. You see, when someone is going to vie for a position, especially when you're vying for member of parliament, governor, or even woman representative, or any other seat, let's just say any other seat, you see, they'll start asking you, how much have you given me? If you're giving me 1,000, 2,000, I'm going to vote for you. If you're not giving me anything, I am not going to vote for you. So you see, most of the electorate are are voting people because of how much they are getting and not based on the ideologies of what these people are presenting to the electorate. So we, as much as we are blaming the political class, we also have ourselves to blame as Kenyans, as the common mwananchi. We need to start looking at individuals, not of how much they are giving us, but of what leadership are they going to offer to us as Kenyans. And you see, young people are the ones who are casualties in this situation, because I'm looking at someone who's 30 years, 29 or 32 or even 31, and they are vying with someone on the same position for, let's say, member of parliament, and this person has a lot of money and this young person doesn't have money. It means the person who has the money is the one who's going to take the seat home, and this young person who doesn't have the money is going to suffer because he's actually not going to win. So we need to start looking at the society needs to start rethinking on our choices of leaders, and we need to start thinking straightforward ahead and not just blaming the political class all along. Yeah. Yes.
First, I'd like to call out my colleagues. It's very unfortunate for young people to do intellectual dishonesty when discussing matters youth. One, I don't think the young people of this country are to blame for anything, for two reasons. Number one, the political class in this country have designed systems that have actually ensured that the young people have no other alternative or choice. You get, if you look at the current government, for example, my colleague has said that each person's office is constitutional and they're independent. The president has been very clear and categorical. In last year, he was very categorical and said that any member of parliament that will not vote to support his agenda in parliament will not be given money for CDF. Number two, he said that anyone who's going to fight his agenda will see how he's going to be dealt with. The president has come out strongly to coerce and force members of parliament to vote in a particular way. In 2022, the former CS for Interior, Dr. Matiang'i, said that 60% of the then aspirants who are vying for MP, governor, and Senate had criminal cases. President Ruto is a very intelligent schemer. He's decided to pick people who have criminal cases. If you look at the current establishment of our parliament, 70% of those in parliament have criminal cases. So there is no way anyone with a criminal case is going to go against what the president wants, because tomorrow you're going to be sent for DCI. Tomorrow you're going to be sent for KRA. And a good example of a constitutional independent office that has seen a lot of fight from the executive is the Office of the Auditor General. We've seen the Auditor General coming out and saying that she's being trailed. We've seen the Auditor General coming out and saying that her office has been denied budget to employ more people to be able to audit better. We've seen her saying that when she was in Mombasa for a seminar, the police were after her. We've seen this government use police force to coerce independent office holders. My colleague has said that no one can be able to coerce the police general, the inspector of police. The IG himself has been seen on top of cars in some rallies with the president, being political.
In Nyeri County.
Exactly. So for me, one, I'm disappointed in my fellow panels here because we are not being honest in having an honest conversation. We need to actually say, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm seeing the wrong thing here. And we must admit that President Ruto is a very intelligent schemer. He schemed his way around a lot of things. Parliament is compromised. Senate is compromised. The governors are compromised. Look at what's happening in Homa Bay. It was basically a show of opulence. So for us young people, the only thing we are able to do, or the only thing we are going to do, is to continue being heard, continue speaking up, continue planning around on how we can be able to vote for the right people. And why I'm actually holding the skirt for the young people is, one, from 2013. The Jubilee administration removed the essence of civic education from any aspect. We have an electorate that has no idea what the role of an MP is. We have an electorate that has no idea what is the role of a senator. And it's because the government has deliberately destroyed the essence of civic education. There's no budget for that. And they've been able to remove all the needed infrastructure. Okay. So it becomes easier to blame the young people, when in essence the same government has actually made it very difficult for the young people to know what needs to be done.
Yeah, and it was on the CDF part, or to just correct you also, Biko, he said, I went I'm waiting to see lawmakers who will go against the government's plan to provide jobs for their constituents. We want to see who will oppose this finance bill. And some of you leaders, he said, are lying to Kenyans, but know that if your MP is against the finance bill, that's in 2023, you should not ask for roads.
Exactly.
This was in Narok County. This was in relation to development, but not CDF. And Parliament still controls the power of the...
No. My point is this. It's unfortunate for us to say that Ruto does not control Parliament or Senate. He does. And he's been very clear about it. When he speaks to speak by roadside declarations, he knows on how to be able to press what button. He knows whether they're going to send you KRA, whether they're going to send you DCI, or whether they're going to deny you a development budget. And this, even a child of 1 month can tell who controls what. So for me, I would like the young people here to first and foremost admit that there's a problem. Yes, the Constitution gives office holders the independence not to be frustrated by the executive. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, Chapter 6 of our Constitution was disregarded when we're voting for these people. So key people in key positions have integrity issues. Key people in key positions have criminal cases. And Ruto is taking advantage of this. So we need to admit that and tell ourselves that going forward, we need to vote in people of integrity who will not have anything to hide in the closet.
And I'll come to Philip. Njeri, how easy is it to control, as he says, all of you have admitted, a collection of 416 adults of the bicameral parliament?
First of all, Ayub, you know, my fellow panelist here has accused me of joining opposition, and it is important.
Have you?
I have been in opposition. I have not joined. You know, the problem with government, when it sends some of these mercenaries to studio to defend it, they don't give them factual information. Njeri Kahiga has not joined opposition. I've been in opposition since 2022, when where Azimio lost. I have been in the streets with the young people from 2022 when this government came into, and I've been one of the vocal youths who have been saying that the president has made it his business to make every other institution of this country an extension of the executive. And by that, I want to be very categorical and say that I cannot be among the young people who wake up and try show the young people that the president, you know, is a good person and, you know, we need to be defending him. No. We need to call him out when the need arises, because I am yet to understand how we will have a parliament that is going to be adjourned when serious issues of Mwananchi are being discussed, but we've never seen any member of parliament not available for things like impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. So when I talk about when you ask your question about how we are able to, the executive is able to control parliament, it's because we have members of parliament who, when they were doing campaigns, had no idea of what they're going to do for their people when they get into power. Secondly, as my colleague said, the electorate has made both the voter and the person seeking to vote have made elections look like a business strategy, like a business idea. If you have 60 million and you're wondering which business you want to open, you think of going for an MP seat somewhere because you know it's going to give you return in investment. And sadly, Wanjiko back in Mashinani is willing to take the money and give you the vote. And then it becomes your business to go back when you go to parliament to make sure that your return on investment is what you focus on first. And the moment a member of parliament goes into parliament with a deficit of 50 million, 100 million, 20 million, that person is first going to work on bridging the financial crisis that they found themselves in when they were seeking this seat. Secondly, the moment we have a president who, from the word go in 2022, has made it his business to be on car tops, has made it his business to dish out money anyhowly without wanting to look at the situation that we as a country are getting into. When we look at our debt, we are getting to a point where, Ayub, we will be told we are paying a debt, but we cannot even see what it has been doing, because when we talk of school capitation not being available, but we have 100 million to give Mama Mboga and watu wa boda boda. When we talk about our hospitals and insurances not functioning properly, but we have 2,000 to give youths in Nairobi in the name of International Youth Day, and it begs the question: what are our priorities as a country? Because the president has made political has made it his business to push the political agenda every other day. And that is why until today we are still discussing Rigathi Gachagua, somebody who they said after 2 weeks of his impeachment, he would no longer be a discussion. I wish the president can take it to his self to just ensure that for the remaining years, ashuke juu ya magari, let him be in the office, let him deliver what he promised the Kenyan people.
Yes, Philip, your hand was up.
Thank you, Ayub. It's interesting that